So I'm going to show you guys how to make these little marker holders that I've gotten a lot of questions about. I wear mine on my lanyard, so I always have my dry erase marker on me at all times. You can also put pens in them. I have one that I put like a Sharpie and a pen in so that they stay in there. And you can also use it to kind of erase dry erase marker. Super awesome. It takes me about an hour to make one of these. If I'm, working on it consistently and just kind of watching TV or whatever, it takes me about an hour just to make one. So what you will do is you'll get just any kind of medium weight yarn. You want to make sure, you'll see as I pull it, that it's got just a little bit of give in it. You don't want something that just doesn't give at all. You want something that has at least a little bit of give in it. It's easier to work with that way. And you're going to start with this thing that is called the magic loop. And if you can't understand what I'm doing from watching this, just search for magic loop on YouTube, magic loop tutorial crochet. You'll be able to find it pretty much anywhere. So, and I'm doing this from your perspective, so this should look the same way to you as it does to me. So you just want to make a loop, put the string through it like that. Actually, I did it wrong. So why am I having such a hard time with this? It's because I'm thinking about it. There we go. There it is. Okay. So you want to make sure it ends up looking just like this. This end here is attached to your ball of yarn, and that is going to be the end that you work from. It's called your working yarn. And then this down here is your tail. You want to make sure he's a good length. You can cut him later if you want, but you want to always have more than less. And then I use what's called a G-sized hook for this. You can also use an H or an I. The more beginner you are, probably the bigger the hook you want to use, just because it's easier to work with. I'll give you some stitch count instructions for if you want to use one of those hooks later, but you still want to use a medium weight yarn like this. So you'll hold it kind of like this. Pause it there so you can visualize that. And with your working yarn looped over your finger like this. And then you'll take your crochet hook and catch your working yarn, put it through the loop, catch it again, and now you should have 2 loops on your hook like this. Okay? And then once you have that, you'll take another loop like that and pull it through both of those hooks, and that is called a single crochet. Again, if that wasn't clear to you, go find another YouTube video that just is like single crochet tutorial. There are people that can show you how to do this much more clearly than I can. And at this point, you want to test out your tail. You want to give your tail a little bit of a tug, and it should shrink your magic loop. Okay, and so you want to, with the G hook, you want to do 8 in this loop here. 8 single crochets into this loop. I'm shrinking it down because it's a little easier. I found that first single crochet kind of disappears sometimes, so you might want to do 9. And then if you're doing this with but ultimately when you count your final things, you want to have 8 stitches. Hi, Fergie's come and help us. And then if you are doing it with the H hook, you're going to want to do probably 10, and then you'll just stick with 10 your whole time. You won't do the second row that I'm going to show you where you add stitches. And if you want to do the I hook, you'll do 8 and just stick with 8 the whole time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Thank you for kisses, Fergie. 7, 8. Okay, so now I'm going to double check that I have 8 stitches. So I'm not sure how well you can see here, but each one of those loops is a stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and then you will pull your tail, tighten it up real good. And you'll have this nice little donut here. Okay, and then you will go back. Make sure you don't pick up, I almost picked up my tail yarn, which has an end. You don't pick up that one and start working with it. You want to make sure you're picking up the one that's attached to the yarn ball there. So you're going to want to take your hook and push it through both of those loops there. Where I got the one loop on your hook here, and you're going to push it through these 2 loops and catch your yarn, pull it through, so you've got the 2 loops on your hook, catch it again, pull it through those 2 loops for your single crochet. Now in this first loop around, you're going to do 2, so this is the same stitch. I don't know if you can see that there. I'm going back into the same stitch. I'm doing 2 single crochets in that first stitch. This is going to increase the total number of stitches in the little circle here. And then in the next one, I'm just going to do 1. And then in this one, I'll do 2. And again, if you're doing the H hook or the I hook, you're going to want to skip this step, and you're just going to want to do 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. Do 1 in that one. See how there's just 1 there. And then we'll do 2 in this one. See, we've got 1 there. Now we have 2 in that same loop, and 1 in this one, and then 2 in this last one. And if you can't tell kind of where you started and where you began, it's not a big deal. You can just go back and count, and when you have 12 stitches, you have the right number of stitches. Oops, I almost did a double crochet there for whatever reason. We want a single crochet. There we go. So let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I have 12. So I'm good. I'm going to pull my little tail piece even tighter to make sure that hole stays tight. And I'll show you how to tie that off in a minute. Okay, and so from here, you have officially conquered the hardest part of the whole marker holder. Don't get discouraged if this part took you forever, or even if you had to take it out 12 times. Like I said, this is literally the hardest part. The rest of it, you just do single crochet in each stitch forever until it's tall enough to hold your marker. And that's it. So I'll just do a couple of these just so you can see. And it's going to start, once you start doing those single crochets, it's going to start giving you a little bit of a curve to it. So it starts to look a little bit like a bowl. And this part will be the bottom of the bowl, where the string is sticking out will be the bottom of the bowl. And you'll want to tie off the string, which I'll show you in a second. And then once you've got that string tied off, you're going to want to flip it, because this outside part ends up looking a lot prettier You don't have to, but I strongly recommend it. Okay, so let me get my tapestry needle over here and show you how to secure this tail thread. Fergie's gonna look at you real cute. So, tapestry needle, this guy right here, he's just a big thick needle. He's not pointy or anything. He's real blunt. It's great for finishing crochet projects. So you just kind of squish this down. This can be a pain, but you just kind of squish it down, thread it through. No ma'am. Do not eat that. And then you'll want to kind of look at where this tail thread came from. He came from over here. And you'll want to just loop it like that. And make sure it pulls. Well, actually, I'm going to do it like that. And then you want to thread it back through like that. So you get a nice little knot. You pull that good and tight. And then I like to do it one more time just to make sure. And you don't really have to worry super much about where you put this in, just as long as it doesn't undo what you've done. You can put it pretty much anywhere close by on the yarn. It doesn't have to be precise. And there you go. And then you can trim this guy. Got my little tiny travel crochet scissors, baby shark, do 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 do. And I like to cut, just to leave about 3 inches. You see the cute face she's giving you. About 3 inches or so on this right here. Because that way, if at any point this hole here starts opening up on you, and like stretching out over time through your pen sitting in it all the time, you can kind of reach into the inside of your marker holder and just pull this, tighten it up real good. Cool. There you have it. And pro tip, I always like to pull my loop out real big when I'm not working on it. It keeps it from falling out. And then you'll just, like I said earlier, just keep going through single crochet in each stitch all around until you get it big enough, and then I'll show you how to finish it. So now that you've got this to the length that you want it, which I recommend putting your marker in it to try it, and your marker should stick out, like the cap should stick out by like half the cap or the whole cap. So then what you want to do is you want to, in each stitch all the way around, you're going to want to do 2 double crochets. So it ends up looking like that. So you do, or not double crochets, these are single crochets, but they're 2 single crochets. So there's 1 single crochet, and that's what that looks like. And then you'll do 2 single crochets, and that's what that will look like. So I did 2 double crochets in each all the way around, and it gives you a nice flared opening that the marker goes into more easily. You can leave it the other way if you want. I just find that the marker slides into this more easily, especially if you're running around trying to do stuff, or if you're juggling, holding a child's hand and a binder full of visuals. The marker goes in a little bit easier with this opening like this. And then what you want to do is you want to slip stitch, which is just pulling the yarn through once and then pulling it through that second hook. Again, like always, if you don't understand what I'm doing, just YouTube search slip stitch, and I'll give you, there's tons of great videos. And then you're going to chain stitch, which is just, it's just looping and looping is all it is. So I've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is probably a good number. Let's look and see. Yeah, that's probably going to be a good enough loop. If you want your loop longer or wider or bigger or whatever, you can do more than 8 stitches. And then I'm going to take this end of this loop and I'm going to slip stitch it back to the marker holder. And then I've had some issues with some of these breaking a little bit. So, well, actually, it's just mine, literally just mine. I guess I just wear it out. So I am going back and slip stitching in each of these stitches, just like that, just to make sure that it's good and sturdy. It just makes it a little bit thicker, so it's not as likely to break. And I'm also going to slip stitch it back to the marker holder one more time to give it a little bit more stability. And that's my dog barking at nothing. That's what he does best. Kona, I've already told you there's no one there. But that leaf, it could kill us all, Mommy. Okay, and so I'm going to just slip stitch it back into the base there. And ta-da! And then you're going to pull it through like this. And you're going to want to trim and tie that off. I have to get my little tiny crochet scissors out here. Baby shark doo 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 doo. Baby shark doo 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 doo. You know I had to. You're welcome. Alright, so I'm just going to cut off some of this tail here. That's actually probably way too much. I'm going to cut off a little bit more. And then just like I did on the base of this, I'm going, well, first I can just do this real quick. Just loop that right through there and just pull it, and that'll make our first knot. Some got caught up in there, but it's fine. We can sew it down. And then thread our tapestry needle and just loop some knots into it so it knows to stay put. There we go. And I did 2 knots, that should be good enough. Feels pretty stable to me. And then I'm gonna trim this end. You want to leave just a little bit. It looks kind of annoying, but the yarn has give in it, and so it might slip through eventually after tugging on it a little bit. So you want to have it. You want it to have. See, it already got a little bit shorter there. You want it to have a little room to wiggle so that the knot doesn't come out. And that's it. Ta-da! Marker holder.